I think he came out one night like around October 23rd, right at dark. And I ended up sitting in the tree for an hour and a half after dark because I knew I could hear him working the scrape. I don't know if it was him. It could have been a spike for all I know, but I'm going to say it was him. And, like
always get that
working
gut
the scrape. Yeah, you get that gut feeling. It just seemed, and it was like, coming close to that full moon time. And I could see like, shadow of the body way out there, about 80 yards out. There was another scrape. And, and I'm just like, it's got to be him. I'm sitting in the tree just waiting. I eventually had to make some coyote howls and sounds to try to get him spooked off to not, so I could climb down and get out of there essentially, and not spook him. And the funny thing was, we were talking about access and like, thinking that you're getting clean and you try really hard to do that. Well, coming out that night was not good for me. So I was like, all right, I saw which direction he went, and I was like, that was my normal way out. And I'm like, all right, so I got to do something different. I looked at Spartan Forge. I'm like, all right, I can go up the edge. It was like a herbicide sprayed clear cut. So there's just trees, down all over and tops, and it's kind of hard to navigate through in the dark, and even with maps, like where you need to go, but how to get there. And this was like a very flat area, and this deer lives in an area that's extremely flat, and I hate hunting those areas, but that's just where he lives at, and there's not much terrain. I can get turned around pretty quick in those types of areas when everything looks the same and it's all the sprayed, cuts. Well, apparently I took the wrong logging road and then ended up in like this beach brush, just like thick, nasty hole. And I got spun around and was just like, I remember like I looked at my map and I'm like, I just went right into where I think he was betting at. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm, so mad at myself. And my cousin Mason had texted me at the time and said something about, he had watched my recent video. He's like, oh, I really liked that video, the quest for the 3-year quest or whatever. And I was like, well, I'm on a quest right now trying to find my truck. And, well, then I lost service, and I get back to my truck like an hour later, and there was a couple messages. He's like, he's like, do you have a map? And then the next one was like, do you need help? Because I was, he thought I was lost at that point. I'm like, no, I was just screwing everything up, walking through the area that I shouldn't have been. And that's just like, those types of things happen. I was with Johnny today, and he was talking about like feeling like he was close on a couple of deer, but then like he'd be noisy or something would happen. He's like, then I lost all my confidence. I was hanging my set and I banged something together or did whatever. And he's just like, dang it. It's just, that's kind of the nature of it.
Oh, dude, you're not wrong. All that stuff happens to everybody though. Like yesterday morning walking in, dead silent, 35 degrees and crisp. And it just sounded like a freight train walking through the woods. And when it's like that, I know that there's absolutely nothing that I can do about it. And I don't try to run, but I try to get to where I'm going. That way it's just done and over
with. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing you can do.
Especially
It doesn't matter how fast or how slow you walk in 4 inches of crunchy leaves. There's no being quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially on like a frosty morning like that, it makes it even, 10 times worse when you're going through. It's like, all right, you might as well do it. And I don't know if you've climbed many cherry trees, but like their bark is just like, is the loudest tree out there. And sometimes that's the only tree I can get in. And I hate it because it's just like, you're going up. It's like, no matter your pants brush against it, your sticks, everything. That's just like, no matter what, you could touch it with your fingernail, and it seems like it makes a noise so loud that just spooks everything off. And I'm just like, all right, at this point, just get in, get set, and then let it die down. Just be quiet, be still.
Sometimes that's all you can do.
Yeah. No, it's funny though, because like, I mean, I know even myself, it helps, talking to people like you and talking to people like Johnny and my dad and all these people that, I think are really good hunters. And then like hearing that everyone goes through it. Cause like, even, when you're in your own little bubble and you're trying and you're working so hard, you've done all this scouting, you're doing all this stuff, and you have X amount of time to go in there and you screw things up, you just feel like the biggest idiot in the world. Like, it's just like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just messing this up, and it's just,
Yep.
and it's a mind, it messes with your mind pretty good.